Now, in the previous episode, I talked about the process you follow using the system, recruitment system, to separate the wheat from the chaff by way of reference to um, time wasters as compared to pre-qualified prospects that's potentially good buyers. So I talked about that in the previous video. So if not seen it, you can check out the descriptions box below this video and click the links to go to the playlist, and then you can watch that. Now, what I want to talk about in this new episode is what you do after you've set up a system that screens out time wasters. All right. Okay. So you set up a system. It's not going to be a perfect system. You can be sure about that. You're going to have to work it and tweak it and tweak it until you get it right. Nothing is ever perfect. And in this business of selling, believe me, nobody can give you a formula that works exactly the same way for every kind of business or brand. You are going to have to adapt the ideas you get to suit your peculiar circumstances, because each of us as an individual, we're unique. So it doesn't matter how big or small your operation is. You are going to have to learn to do your own thinking, to adapt whatever somebody else says they're doing to suit your needs. It's very important that you understand that. So you can't just take something wholesale and use. It doesn't matter what kind of business you are in. It doesn't matter what kind of industry you are in. It's very often going to require your input. Your creativity will have to, if you really want to get superior results in the long term. So please keep that in mind. So now you've got this recruitment system in place, like I said, and you have to tweak it as you go along. Okay, so you've got the screening process also to some extent set up. What then happens when your screening process is working, it's in effect, and then you now have people getting through, okay, who you now think should be pre-qualified prospect? What do you do then? Well, the thing I want to tell you now is, because I know there are so many people, they want to sell at all costs. They are so sales-minded that they close their eyes sometimes to getting it right in terms of a perfect. You've got to look for a decently reasonable fit between you and your prospective buyer. Not everybody with enough money to pay you for your product or service will be a good fit for you. It's very important to understand it's not everybody that can pay for the solution you offer that you should take on as a client. And that's what I want to talk about in this episode. So what I'm saying is, you're going to need to develop also a process for analyzing the needs of these people who are able to get through your screening system and reach you in order to go to the next stage in the selling process. So somebody, makes the phone call, you ask the question, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. So what do you do? They call that interaction, that process of interviewing the person. When the person, for instance, as I said in my previous episode, you get the person to call in. That's just one example. It's not that everybody will come through that channel. There are going to be many channels. Some people will meet you face to face and ask you. Some people will send you an email and probably not. Okay, well, like I said, when they send you the email, you ask them to call you. The thing is, you want to have that interaction where there's an exchange, where you do the back and forth, the question and answer. But whatever the case is, at some point, you have to do what is called a needs analysis. All right. Again, it depends. If the person is going to buy something from you that you don't really need to particularly cultivate any relationship beyond the immediate with the person, maybe just a one-off thing. There are some people who sell things that are one-off. I like to build long-term relationships where I keep upselling new things to people over the long term. Literally, I would say that on the average, about 70 to 80% of my client base are people that have done a lot of repeat business with me. Very, very few people just buy from me and disappear, because more often than not, I try to hold on to them, not by force, but by creating value that makes them want to stay on. So they are made to become members of what I call, for instance, my Farm Business Ideas Club. There's another one I call my Performance Improvement Ideas. And these different groups, mostly comprising people who have paid me for something, I then continually publish new content that is designed to help them. No strings attached. All right, so that helps me to keep them in for the long term. And they see value in staying in connection. In fact, some of them will even reach out and express appreciation for the stuff I'm giving out. Sometimes I call them up once in a while and all that. So I build relationships. And I think if you're wise, you will do that for yourself. Because the best people to sell to quite often are people that have already bought from you. They will actually be more willing to pay you more money and better money than people that are completely new to you, who are your new buyers. Go and check with any salesman. They will tell you the best people to buy from are people that are already your customers. So if you can make them become your, somebody buys from you today, right? That kind of person is going to give you less resistance when you want to sell to him or her again, particularly when they bought from you and they had a good experience buying from you. So by the time you come up with something new, the process you have to go to break down resistance is a much shorter process, if at all it will exist at all. So you're going to find it easier to sell to someone that already knows you, already trusts you, has already done business with you, than it will be for you to try and sell to somebody that's a complete stranger. So it takes more work to sell to a new buyer than to sell to an old buyer. Why don't you then want to? So it makes sense for you to stay connected with a buyer that you've already won over, so that you can sell more in the long run. So that's one thing. So now, back to my point. So what I'm trying to say here is that you will look for a way to do a needs analysis. And that's why, because like I said, you want to look for a long-term relationship. So you want to really understand each buyer. If you have a passion for what you do, what I'm about to tell you to do now will not be a problem. But if you don't have a passion for what you do, if you have not chosen a business you love, an area of endeavor you have that you're excited about, then what I'm about to describe to you will just sound like, well, what's this guy saying? What kind of wahala is this? I don't have any time for this. That's you're actually going to be your reaction. I've seen people like that a lot. They just resent this kind of suggestion, and it's like they're telling you, what? I mean, why do I have to do all this? The minute a person responds like that, I know straight away the person did not go into the business area that he's in because he enjoyed it. He went, or she went into it because they saw money there, or they were told there was money there. And of course they will be seeing the money, but when you're telling them about taking their business to the next level, and that they will have to invest more emotionally into it, you begin to see them pushing back. And that's how you know that they really didn't want to do it in the first place. All right, so you need to invest, okay, in finding out what makes this client tick. So let me try and illustrate needs analysis. You're wondering what that means. Look at the word need and then analysis. So what people need is different from what they want. Now, it is said in marketing discussions that if you really want to sell well, don't be too particular about finding out what people need or telling them what they need. Listen to what they're telling you they want and give them what they want. So always ask, what do people want? Give them what they want. I agree. But I find in my own experience that there's an intersection between what they want and what they need. What happens is, I believe, and I came to this belief through experience and also through reading other people and following other people and studying what they were doing. I believe you have a duty. If you are smart, it will be wise for you, and it will be smart of you to look for a way to train your buyers, train them to get the solutions you offer. So it means you have to inform and educate them about not just how to get what they want from you, but about what they can get from you. You see, how to get what they want from you it has to do with, like I said, eliminating time wasters, and also making those that are not time wasters understand the way you work and fall in life. For instance, the way you want to get paid. You don't want to get paid piecemeal. You want to get paid once. You don't want any delays in your payments. You want them to stick with installments. You want them to understand the way you give your promos. All those things, the system in place for you to sell, right? But at the same time, you also want to train them in terms of letting them understand what they need in order to be the best at what they do. You see, you have to aim to become a person that adds value to them in a tangible manner that they can relate to, a manner that will make them value you. That despite the fact that they're giving you money, they'll still be grateful to you for being in their lives. You have to make yourself become a resource that they will even feel a need to brag about to others, and, as I said before, to express gratitude for having access to. The only way to do that, to become that kind of person in their lives, is by doing a needs analysis. You can do it by telling them you're going to do it when you're talking to them, or you can just do it knowing that you are doing it without letting them know that's what you're doing. It's up to you. But what's important is get into their heads. you have to know what makes each of your buyers tick. That's why I mentioned that some people will not like this because it's work. But like I said, when something is your passion, you don't even know it's work anymore. When you love doing it, you don't know it's work anymore. And that's why you have people like Michael Jordan, when he was being interviewed, he was saying he would have still played basketball the way he did because he enjoyed doing it. So he said it was quite exciting for him to get paid so well to do what he enjoyed doing that he would have done even when he was not being paid. And that's basically the way it is for me. So I'm able to take up multiple client projects in the area of content creation, the stuff I'm doing with you now, talking about selling, talking about convincing people, influencing people, persuading people. That's all about salesmanship. It's one of the most, probably the most powerful skill a human being can have, the ability to sell in every area of human interaction or your interpersonal relationship. What you're doing is selling. You're either selling ideas or selling yourself. So if you can learn to be a good salesman, you'll be a very successful human being, period. There will be no environment you'll not be able to function in. There's a terminology developed by Daniel Coleman, the author of Emotional Intelligence. He talks about, what's this personality now? I try to remember. I can't remember it now. But it's a personality that always... I can't remember. It just skips my mind now. But basically what I'm trying to say is this. You have to become a person that is able to get along with different kinds of people because you understand their different natures. You don't have to be friends with them in an intimate sense, but you have to be able to understand how they think, what is important to them, what they value, and what they want. All that information you can get from them, they won't even know you're getting that information from them. But by the time you get it, it will influence the way you speak to them. It will influence the way you hear them, the way you respond to them. And by the time you are responding to them, they'll be thinking, wow, this guy really knows me well. That is how good I have trained myself to be, to the point that when I create content for clients, they'll tell me, wow, you wrote it exactly the way I would have written it. You said it the way I would have said it. You did it the way I would have wanted it done. And I said, wow, you're really good at what you do. Because I have invested emotionally in studying you. So for some of you that are wondering, one of my clients actually some years ago, I was in Cotonou that day, I sent him some stuff and then I made him an offer. And the guy was saying he could not understand how I did it every time to him. That he would think, okay, this is last time I'm going to buy from this guy. I don't need to buy anymore. And then I would just come and I'll just make another offer. And he said the offer will be so irresistible that he will have no choice but just to make another payment. And he was telling me he was thinking, is it that I'm using some kind of mystical power on him? And I just laughed and said, well, it's just because I noticed these are things that the thing the Yoruba saying, so the thing that someone is feeling most passionate about, most touched by, is what one tends to talk about the most. You dwell on it more in your conversations. You may be unconscious, but you do it. So when you know, that's what the white people, the English people speakers will call the hot button. So you know a person's hot button, you can sell to the person. So all these things I just said, and everything I've said now, just boils down to one thing. The needs analysis is designed to help you identify this, your buyers or prospective buyers' hot button. The minute you get the buyer's hot button, it's a button. That means you can press it once, you can press it again and again and again and again. And every time you continue to get more information from the client, keep checking, get new information, add it to it, use to identify the button. The button may have moved. It may be different in size, it may have a different thickness, it require different amount of pushing pressure to activate it. But you will always know how to push the hot button of each client. It's got to be each client. You can't do it for a group of clients. Every human being is unique. Whether he's representing a company or an individual, his brain is still going to be involved in making the decision to buy. Whether he's representing 10,000 people as a president of an association, he's still going to be the decision maker more often than not. Always, like I told you in the previous episode, some previous episode ago, I said, make sure that when you're having your conversations, you are talking to somebody that can sign the check. He can make the buying decision, not the person that's going to talk to the person that's going to make the buying decision. Always seek to have your most important sales conversations with the person that can sign a check. So when you're talking to that person, you know that the brain of that person is, if you can get in there, you know what you need to say to get paid. Everything I've said to you, so there's a bit of continuity in these videos in this series. It's not just a random thing. There's a procedure here. You've got to understand that every single thing I'm telling you in each of these video episodes is important to achieving the whole outcome of sales. And you need to internalize them in order to use the ideas I'm talking about successfully. If you leave one out, it may be what will prevent you from making a sale. It doesn't mean you get 100% selling output every time, but believe me, you approach something like 70%. And I've told you that I achieved that. It's no exaggeration. This is the truth. So basically, that's the next step you're going to do. That is, you do a needs analysis. So what does that entail? Well, I'll give you an example. The needs analysis can be done in different ways. It depends on what you are doing, what you are selling, how you are selling, who you are selling to, where you are selling. All those come in. But I will use myself as an example again, just to make it easy, because a lot of you that are listening to me, or I know that there are people on the channel who are not yet my clients, but the primary audience I have here are my clients. They are members of my different groups on Facebook, on WhatsApp. Okay, so you know that you have been at the receiving end of my marketing efforts. Okay, and you know the way it works. So you've gone through this, but it's like literally 95% of people who have been my buyers have experienced me doing a needs analysis with them. They just probably did not know that it was a needs analysis. So let me tell you examples of when I did when I do a needs analysis. As I said before, make the person call in. When the person calls in and you ask those questions, you are doing a needs analysis. It now depends on how formal you want to go, how structured you want to make it. Typically, I have a set of questions. There's usually about 3 to 5 questions, really. It depends on the responses I get to the first 3 questions that will determine how far I go. Sometimes I end up with 10 questions. It all depends on where the conversation leads. It depends on how forthcoming the person is. Sometimes I get some pushback, some resistance as I'm asking the question. The guy feels I'm probing too much. But usually I'm able to convince them and demonstrate that what I'm trying to do is just to establish an understanding of their unique situation so that I'll know which of the solutions I offer, apart from the main one they are calling about, I can also make to them. More often than not, I actually end up offering those ones to them as bonuses that are free. So that's why I'm able to justify asking them those questions. And more importantly, they see that as I ask those questions, I'm able to supply them information that even enriches them, even though they've not yet already made a sale from me, a purchase from me. So sometimes I'm telling them, did you know that apart from listening, do you know that you can, in your country, a lady called me from the USA. She's a Ghanaian, but based in the US, but she's setting up a big farm in Ghana. And she was telling me that, she was planning to do this and that, It's going to be a poultry farm. She has some birds already, all that, blah, blah, blah. She wanted my software because she watched the video. And I said, okay, great. Oh, do you know that you're calling me now about this software? Excellent. But do you know that you can also look at the possibility of really dramatically saving a lot of money, cutting out a lot of costs in terms of the way you feed your birds? So your running expenses can really be cut down by almost 50% if you were to adopt a new trending operation on your farm. And she said, what's that? And I told her, did you ever hear about black soldier fly larva breeding? I said, no, she had not. I said, you see what I'm talking about? Not only is that a viable area of endeavor to venture into along with what you're doing right now, it's something that's already been done in your country. And I told her of an organization that's, I think it's French based, that already set up a black soldier fly larva production facility. And I also mentioned to her that actually this was something she could do herself right on her own farm. She didn't have to, but just get the initial colony, maybe eggs, and then start her own colony of black soldier fly larva. And she would say, wow, I didn't know that. And I said, that's the point. That's why I asked you all this question, because I wanted to know exactly what your plans were. Sometimes some of them will end up telling me they had a plan to have an integrated farm. So by asking my probing questions in as gentle a manner as possible, not threatening manner, I'm able to get more information that enables me to establish what the person will truly need. Because sometimes many of them are not so knowledgeable about this venture. They decide to go into it. They've done some initial research, but they don't have enough information. So I have access to a lot of people who have been in it for years and have a big picture perspective. So I'm able to bring that to bear to help them to see what they need to know and do to get the best results possible as they venture into this new area. So more often than not, sometimes I even end up linking up with somebody in my network among my other farmers who is already doing it or who has been doing it for years to help them with certain aspects like setting up a feed mill and things like that. So I'm able to link them up because I ask my questions at that needs analysis. So they begin to see me beyond the product that they came to buy from me as a person that's a resource problem solver. And that's why many of them come back to me. Oh, Mr. Solagbade, what I want to do is I want to sell my eggs. I mean, one of my farmers came from Abeokuta 2 years ago or so, or a year ago, and brought eggs in a vehicle and said he couldn't get good sales in Abeokuta because another company, I think Animal Care, had flooded the market with eggs during I think it was this lockdown. I can't remember. There was a problem there locally. I think it was a glut caused by this company that's flooded the market, and the schools were not open, so the school boarding houses were not taking in eggs like before, and so there was a huge stock of eggs, that had not been bought. So the prices were crashing. So he came to Lagos and he called me up when he was on his way and said, could I help with finding buyers? Look at that. I mean, what he did for me, he bought his software for, I think, some 5,000. No, I gave him a discount. He had some robbers. They robbed him. So I gave him a discount. He was able to buy it, I think, for 40,000. And then we stayed in touch. He even came to meet me in Lagos, and I put him through on how to use the application. But subsequently, we just kept in touch. So when he called me up and I was curious, what's going on? He said, I want to get sales. And I tried to do my best to help him. So people see me beyond the product or solution I offer, and look at me in terms of the fact that I offer myself as a resource person to solve problems. And when you help people to solve problems, you are helping them to get what they want. When you help people to get what they want, they are naturally led to want to stay in touch with you, to in contact with you, because they see you as a person that can help them to become better. This philosophy I subscribe to, I mentioned it, the spirituality for marketing that I talked about, the science of getting rich. One of the things is, the admonitions is that you must create an impression of increase in the minds of those that you relate with. When people know that when they interact with you, they will come away better off than before they interacted with you, they will always look forward to interacting with you. When people know that when you come, they will learn more, they will become better, they will become smarter, they will become more knowledgeable, they will gain more insights, they will naturally want to have you around, they will naturally want to reach out to you all the time. And that is the way you should make yourself. So the best way to be able to do that, to impact people in that manner, is to do a needs analysis. So like I said, you don't have to tell them you're doing a needs analysis, but seek to engage them in a question and answer exchange, where you are the one doing most of the questioning, and where your questions will be aimed at identifying what this person really wants to achieve. So you're not looking at what the person wants to buy only just then. You're thinking, what does the person want to buy this my product for? So you ask the person, what do you want to do with my product or my service? And then, so what's your goal? What's your ultimate goal? What will make you happy? What will make you satisfied in life? What will make you fulfilled? Then you key into that vision of that person, and now begin to look at yourself in terms of the solutions you offer and how some of your solutions can be used to help that person to achieve that goal. The minute you're able to establish that connection, you've found a hot button for that person. All you now begin to do is, if you don't have any existing product or service, you begin to create them and begin to offer them to the person, because you are sincere, because you're not being manipulative. Your objective is not to cheat, to deceive, or to exploit. Because you are sincere in your desire to help, to add value, by the time you begin to create those solutions, they'll fall in love with you. And that is the key to finding good buyers. Good buyers are going to be good buyers to you because they have seen that you can actually help them get what they want. It's not that they love you and they want to throw money at you. It's because they know that giving you money will help them get closer to their goal. That is what will make them good buyers to you. They will be glad to pay you because they know that you give them what they want. Do you understand? Next episode, we'll continue.